Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show.
Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Tim Raglin on the line, and he's founding partner and COO over at Skillwork. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Tim. So we have some topics to talk about today. For anybody that's been watching the show for a long time, you know manufacturing, labor, and future trends is a big passion of mine and a big topic I like to cover. So I'm really excited to get into Skillwork, the mission, some of the culture behind the company that you created, and why really you're doing what you do. And maybe just to get us kicked off, tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got started.
Well, it's kind of an interesting journey. Little bit, probably a longer in tooth than most entrepreneurs that start a new company. My background personally, I was actually in the military for close to 25 years. Started out kind of at the lowest enlisted rank, worked my way through, had a lot of opportunities, and completed my naval career back in 2007 as a naval officer. And great opportunity for me to learn from a lot of great leaders. But I always had this desire to try to start something, build something on my own. But I need a little bit more experience coming out of that background. So I spent a couple of tours in the corporate world, working for a couple of Fortune 300 companies in a variety of positions, and found myself with an opportunity to transition to where we are today, starting and developing this company that we call Skillwork with a great couple of partners that I have. And we're excited about not only this company and what we've been able to do, but our opportunity as we move into the future.
Man, I think that's so exciting. And in terms of, going out and doing that entrepreneurial venture, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that in your situation, maybe they had a successful corporate career. And I don't necessarily agree with the word longer in the tooth, or however you said. I don't agree with that one. I think entrepreneurs of all ages are making huge differences in adding value to the market, which is essentially why we choose to do these things regardless of age or background. But I do want you to I want to ask this question for maybe some of those that are in your shoes prior to starting Skillwork. So meaning successful career, you're already kind of set in your way, so to speak, possibly in those patterns. And yet you have this passion, you have this thing that compels you to go out and to take that leap and become an entrepreneur. What kind of advice would you give, or just words of wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, to those that are maybe out there in that situation that have an idea and it's pulling at them, but maybe they haven't made that leap yet?
Well, it's a great question. And I think it's a combination of things. I think, first of all, do your homework, make sure that the drive, obviously, that you have intrinsic drive to be able to go to develop something, create something new. That's kind of a given for those of us that have always dreamed about doing something. But I think a lot of businesses, startups fail because people really haven't put in the hard work up front to really consider what they're getting into. So I think really do that groundwork up front to understand, is there really a need? Do you really have a unique solution? There's something that's going to differentiate you from the crowd. Are you really all in, sold out? When I left the corporate world to start this business, I use the analogy of the Spanish explorers going to Central America that, we burned our ships on the beach. There was no turning back for us. So there was no plan B for me. I was going to make this work, or, die trying, so to speak. So it was an all-in attitude, but one faced with a lot of confidence built on the groundwork we did ahead of time to to really understand, the domain we were going
Mm-hmm.
into.
Man, Tim, I feel that from you. And I remember when I made the leap and I remember the day that I finally was like, okay, I'm 100% going this route. And that's when my background in finance, that's when I gave up my CFP. I gave up my Series 7, 6, 63. I gave them all up and said I was going to go in this media route. And all my friends, everybody thought I was crazy. Like, what? You've been in that business almost 14 years. Like, what makes you think that you're going to go start this other thing? Now it worked out, so now it's fine. But but in the beginning, and 4 years ago, when I made that leap and burn the boats, as you said, because that's what I had to do. There was no halfway, be an advisor part-time, do this part. It doesn't quite work that way. It's easy enough. It's hard enough to succeed at one thing, let alone two things. So I feel your pain on that one, and your joy and some of the good things that come from it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think for those that are, thinking about this, to me, the hardest part of this whole thing was making that all-in commitment. Once that decision is made, and you really go fully in. And for me, as you know, kind of leaving the corporate world, they do a pretty good job of what they call golden handcuffs, things that really make it hard for you to turn your back on that, depending on what level in the organization you are. But once you make that commitment, that call to go all in to what, and in my case, I really felt like I was being called into. It was a kind of a calling that once that decision was made, then there was no looking back, and was able to put my full force and the energy and everything I had into making this work.
Wonderful. So let's get, speaking of your energy, let's talk about Skillwork, and let's talk about maybe that need or what you saw in the marketplace. So first off, maybe just give us a little bit of background on the business itself.
So Skillwork is a company that we founded, designed to fill a growing need, a gap that you talked about, and we've talked about a little bit, is this gap that we currently have in the skill trades. When we talk about skill trades, electricians, carpenters, welders, those men and women out there that really build America, that fix, repair, install, troubleshoot, make things work. And and if there's ever a doubt about the value of those people, then the last year should have proven, when we said these are critical infrastructure type jobs and these aren't, the vast majority of those that were required to continue working were those type of men and women. So hugely valuable to our country, but there's a gap. Currently about 1 million opportunities out there that can't be filled. So, and we expect that to grow over the next 5 years. So Skillwork is a company we put in place to try to connect skill workers that are out there with opportunities that exist in a unique and new way, borrowing from concepts of other industries that have solved this problem. For instance, the travel nursing model. About 25, 30 years ago, they were experiencing the same sort of shortage. So they developed this travel nursing business model, and we borrowed some ideas from that and applied it to the skilled trades industry, and borrowed a few other concepts that we have and processes we put in place to be able to try to locate those skilled craftsmen around the country. We hire them to our company, bring them into our culture, respect, honor, and value them, and then give them opportunities to experience freedom and a variety of jobs and positions throughout the country.
Let's talk a little bit more about culture and like how important that is to you in building a company, because as an entrepreneur, I find that that's kind of the glue that holds it all together. So what does that mean to you, like company culture?
It means everything. I mean, and like I said, I've come from a military background. There's a lot of esprit de corps and culture there, and every corporation has their things that they espouse. But for us, before we ever hired the first person at our headquarters here or put in the field, we focused laser-like focus on what our core values would be. And so for us, we basically say our core values can be summarized in 3 things. And we tell this to everybody that comes to work for us, as well as our clients, that simply honor to God, respect to our skilled tradesmen. We feel like that they are being undervalued and underrespected in our culture. So we make sure that they are valued, they are respected. And finally, our third core value we tell people is we measure our success like a lot of businesses do, your businesses. We have bottom line, we have growth, we have projections, all of those sort of things. But honestly, we tell people, if you impact somebody's life today for good, if you go out of your way to look for a way to impact the world around you positively, then we feel like we're going to be successful as a company. So we don't even talk about, what we do. We talk about how we do it. Honor to God, respect to skilled tradesmen, impact to those around us. That's our core values, and we're very, very adamant about following those.
That's great, and I couldn't agree with you more about the about maybe our focus has gone away from skilled trades a bit, and the thing is that people don't even necessarily know that they have choices anymore, especially the youth that are coming up, and they don't understand like what great careers these can be. So I grew up in Michigan, so I'm from Detroit, so I grew up around the skilled trades and manufacturing area, and right. People don't understand, like they think that. And I don't know if it's social media. I don't know if it's shows like this. I've been trying to bring more and more people from manufacturing to talk about these things because there's some amazing opportunities out there. But like you said, being an electrician or doing these other skilled things, I mean, not only is it important for the country, but they're highly rewarding careers if that's what you like, and but to give yourself that opportunity even to explore it. I feel like when I was in school, that was one of the things that you could go that route if you wanted to explore the trades and do other things. But that's because I was, again, from a manufacturing area, so that was common and in the language. But if you aren't in a particular like manufacturing area, then maybe you don't even understand that that's a potential, unless maybe you had like a uncle that was an electrician or a cousin or something like that, and maybe one day they took you on a job or something like that, I don't know, and you got introduced and you're like, oh, this is interesting, I actually really like this. Well, that doesn't happen quite as much anymore, and you don't fill a million jobs like that, like by accident, so to speak. So how are you, tell us a little bit more about the strategy and kind of how you're targeting to do your part over at Skillwork to fill some of these roles.
Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, because the culture in general has shifted away from valuing that as a path, an avenue for people to, take care of their families, advance in life, pursue the American dream. Anymore, if you go to any high school across the country, or you talk to any parent of a high schooler, their focus is almost exclusively college preparation. The more kids that they get in college, more accepted in college, that's kind of a measure of their success from the high school level. And any parents that of kids that are entering high school, their whole focus, their conversation is, where's your kid going to college? Where are they going to school? It doesn't even pass their mind. So this idea that somehow it is not as respectable or a pursuit of value to pursue a skilled trades, we have to change that. And more that we talk like this, and the more that we act out in ways that respect those skilled trades, and really educate the fact that there's so much opportunity. I mean, how many people with college degrees do we know that have hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that are working at, Starbucks, things like, nothing wrong with working at Starbucks, but they're taking jobs that are well under the amount of investment they put into that. For a skilled trade, a craft job that you can go into, get advanced training certification, you enter into the working field, you begin making money right away. And we have many of our skilled workers are out in the field right now that are making, 100K plus in what they do. And, it doesn't mean that's where you have to be for the rest of your life, but it's certainly a pathway and avenue. And we just feel like that the more opportunity that we give for certification, for training, and just to elevate in the eyes of people the value of those sort of careers is crucial. So it's a change in conversation. It's a change in mindset that we think needs to take place in our country.
Yeah, I think that's great. So, there's a variety of different types of agencies out there, temp agencies or otherwise. Like, what makes Skillwork different or unique?
Well, I think a lot of the people that we talk to, our clients, they said, we work with temp agencies before, or we work with headhunters. We don't get the right kind of people. You guys are. So there seems to be in general, a negative connotation. So when we set out to do this business and build it, we wanted to be something different. So our approach is much different in that, number one, we focus on quality. We do an extensive vetting and recruiting and vetting of our skilled workers to make sure that the people that we hire, so we hire them, they work for us. We're not just looking to pass people off to another company. and push high volumes of people out in the field, and hopefully some of them will stick. We do a great job, we feel like, of making sure that we would like to hire them for our company, because that's what we're doing. So we look at things like not just your skill and experience, but we use world-class aptitude and personality testing. We want to understand what your integrity is, what your drive is, how you go about doing your work, how you're wired. And then we make sure that we match that with our clients, what their culture is like. So we're very much focused on making sure not only it's a great fit for our clients, but for our skill workers too, because we respect them. We want to make sure that we're putting them in a great location for them to thrive and grow. So we look at this as, we're not just looking to just push people through a pipeline to a client and, grow through numbers. We are really focused on opportunity for our skilled tradesmen, giving them opportunity to travel, to see the country, to let them know that, you have a skilled trade, you have something that's in demand here. You have every right and opportunity to get a good wage, to get great benefits, and to be able to choose, where you go and for how long you want to be there. So we really are acting as almost like a sports agent would, a star athlete. We try to treat our guys that way.
That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about the actual trades that you hire for, because I know there's some people out there that are watching this right now that are in a position to where they need help. What are some of the trades that you hire for?
Well, electricians, mechanical, electrical technicians, manufacturing guys that are millwrights that can install, repair both OEM and prefabricated machinery and equipment. We hire a lot of people in the construction trades, everything from a project superintendent down to a lead foreman, and welders. We have mechanics, people that work on renewable energy, wind turbines, even I was trying to think of the renewable energy with the the mirrors. I have it on my. Yes, solar. That's maybe because we haven't had the sun out here in so long. I've forgotten what that was. Yeah. So there's a growth opportunity in that as well. So really, if you think of anything where there's a higher level of certification and training required for skilled craftsmen, we provide opportunities for them, and we work with clients that are in demand of them.
Let's speak to the actual the skilled labor themselves for a minute. So some of the people that are watching this that are maybe they've already kind of gone down that path. So I think we addressed maybe some of the younger crowd that are thinking about going to the trade. Let's talk about maybe some of the people that are currently in the trade. Why would they want to work with a company like Skill, or why would they want to work with Skillwork? Like, what kind of things are in it for them, so to speak?
Well, I just spoke to a handful of our new skill workers. That's what we call our guys in the field, skill workers, this morning. And just what we hear from them is the respect and dignity that we show them, that we truly value them. It's not something we just have written on a wall. It's not a mantra. So it's amazing what just basic human dignity and respect for what somebody brings matters. So I would say the skill craftsman out there, if you feel like you're undervalued and you're just a number and you're not getting, the compensation or the respect that you deserve, it's something that we value highly here. I would also say that you, as a skilled tradesman out here, you have a lot of opportunity. You don't have to be pigeonholed in a location or even in a particular trade. There's opportunity for you now to transition to something different, to see a different part of the country. And with our model, you have the opportunity to go into a location for a contracted period of time and determine whether that could be a great fit for you. 30 minutes ago, we had one of our guys take a full-time opportunity as a superintendent at a location that he decided, hey, this is where I want to move my family. I want to live here. Normally, he would have never ended up going to that, but because we provided an avenue, he had that ability to decide for himself. And you and I, we take for granted we can go to Amazon, we can pick and choose and have something delivered tomorrow. We can call an Uber driver. We have the ability to be very highly flexible. Why shouldn't skilled tradesmen, skilled craftsmen have that same opportunity? So that's what we would communicate to you. If you want to check out a company that truly values you and is here to provide opportunity for you, that's what we represent.
I love that thought process too, because what happens, I find a lot of times, is maybe some, a skilled worker may be in a market that's not, it may not be paying what they want to make, or it may not be as it may not be a growing city, or it could be a lot of different things. But long story short, they feel that maybe they picked the wrong profession, and what they don't understand is it's possible that they're just in the wrong market with the right profession. Like, they may love being an electrician, but their town is, getting smaller and there's less opportunity, and they're not getting pay raises, or they don't feel valued, things like you said. But that same skill is translatable, and they could live their dream life, but maybe it's just in a different market, and
100%.
it could be completely different. And then it's not like this is an easy thing to do, to just you can obviously go to a job board and see if somebody's hiring, but now, I mean, they don't know these companies. They may not even know the city. So to be able to do like you said, and to be able to go test it and take a shorter contract to see if you like it, and to kind of test it out, the company, the culture, the city, and decide if you want to move your family, like, that's a big decision. So to be able to do that and to bridge that gap, I mean, you're really changing lives.
Yeah, and I think that what you hit on is correct. I mean, it's transferable skills. So let's take, for instance, we had a downturn in the gas and oil industry here over the past, when the pandemic hit, when the demand went down. So a lot of guys that were working in the oil and gas industry in Texas or offshore found themselves out of work. So, we were able to find them and say, those skills you learn in the oil field to be able to repair and to program, it's called programmable logic controls, PLC. Yeah. That sort of skill set could also apply in the manufacturing. So in the manufacturing world, even in the food manufacturing, where again, during the pandemic, food manufacturing spiked because we were staying at home and we needed that to go. So we can go recruit a guy from Odessa, Texas, that grew up working in the oil field. His dad worked there, but he knows the technology, transition him to another, area where, rather than be out of work or have to take a lower paying job, he actually gets opportunity for a higher paying job, maybe with better working conditions for a period of time that, maybe that works out to where he wants to go there, or she wants to go there, or until the industry back home begins to pick up again. So it's just, it's this flexibility and and just understanding that you have skill, you have value, intrinsic value, but you also have value with what you bring to the table. That our job is to connect you with the right fit, and then do our best to make sure the opportunity exists for you to either continue to pursue that, or whatever is best for you and your family.
So what's next for Skillwork? So obviously you have your model, it's working. You're valuing your staff, which is amazing, and you have your culture in place. What's next? Like, what do you see on the horizon?
Well, we do a little podcast of our own, nowhere near as awesome as yours, Adam, but
don't say that. First off, what's the name of the podcast? I love supporting other podcasters. I want people to go check it out.
Yeah, it's called the Skillwork Forum, and we really talk about things like that we've talked about. What are trends? What are things that apply to the skilled trades industry? And, and we like to think about not just, it's not a salesy sort of a podcast. We are really trying to get people to think about where the industry is going and how to think outside the box. So in terms of where we think things are going, a concept that's been around here for a few years that we feel like is going to have a significant impact on the skilled trades. It's something that's been called the fourth industrial revolution, that we think we're just on the precipice of right now. And if you've had, if this is the fourth, there must have been three prior. So, without going into history lesson, if you think about the onset of the steam engine, that really changed things from, wagons and sail to power. And then from steam to electricity, think about the revolutionary change in manufacturing and the trades. And then from electricity, computers. So the computer age, that also changed their trajectory. So the guys that can work at Thomas Edison electrical plant maybe couldn't repair computers. You had to have a new set of skills.
Yeah.
So today we think that because of technology and the interconnectedness of sensors, artificial intelligence, things that you may have heard called the Internet of Things, where you connect an ecosystem of, for instance, a manufacturing ecosystem. So we think that technology and this fourth industrial revolution will bring on this highly connected, highly distributed, just-in-time, artificially intelligence-driven ecosystems across manufacturing, construction, and all the other trades. So we think that to prepare for that, companies need to be thinking about what sort of skilled trades and craftsmen today do we have that may not necessarily be ready for that. So let's get ready now. So we're really focused on working with colleges, community colleges, trades organizations to be looking at what are the skills tomorrow that will be required to be able to repair, install, and make these sort of systems run. Because one thing we found, Adam, that the more advanced technology goes, the more need it is for advanced technology skilled craftsmen to keep it all up and running. So that's where we think things are going. So we're really focused on providing those opportunities and giving an avenue for skilled craftsmen, maybe even some of the younger folks that we've talked about that like computers and like technology, but also like working with their hands to kind of be given that avenue as a future opportunity for them to go into. So we're excited about that, and we want to be at the forefront of providing guides to meet the demand of that.
Yeah, this is great. And I always love saying this when, there's a lot of stats and other things out there about the future of the workforce and jobs. And I always just like to say, well, hey, I couldn't have went to school and said, hey, when I grow up, I want to be a podcaster. Podcasts didn't exist when I was in college. Right. I don't think they did. They may have, but I didn't know if they did, but they didn't even exist. So how could I ever say that I want to be a podcaster or do any of that kind of stuff? So our jobs in the future, who knows? Drone repair person, or like drone logistics, something. It's probably already exists, and I just don't know the title. But bottom line is these jobs don't even exist yet.
Yeah, exactly. So this concept of this what may exist, so the Internet of Things. If you think about the vehicle you drive, probably if it's been built in the last couple of years, this vehicle is interconnected. The sensors are all talking to each other and actually sending information back to the mothership, back to the manufacturer or your dealership. And they will tell you what's broken and what needs to be done before you even know it's going on. So that's kind of a microcosm of what we're going to see in the future. So it takes a lot of skill to be able to understand how to work and fix that. So you're right. It doesn't exist today, but we think it will tomorrow and 3 to 5 years from now for sure.
Well, hey, and I have no doubt that Skillwork is going to stay on the forefront of that. So that being said, Tim, if somebody's watching this and they want to learn more about Skillwork or to connect with you and your team, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, go to our website. There's a lot of opportunity there to both take a look at some of our previous podcasts. They're linked there, but it's Skillwork, all one word, SKILLWORK.com, skillwork.com, very easy. Go there and there's plenty of avenues, whether you're a skilled craftsman looking for opportunity with us, or perhaps you're a business out there, trying to find somebody to meet your needs. Either way, we're happy to reach out and talk to you, even if it's just discussing some of these topics we touched on today. Happy to do that.
That's awesome. Well, Tim, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work that you're doing over at Skillwork. So I think it's amazing. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Definitely want you to come back and be a return viewer. Have a lot more great guests coming up for you. And Tim, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. And thank you very much for having me.